not abusive. Okay? She was going to get divorced. Swami said no. No divorce.
He drank all the time. She did all the work. Many times she wanted to leave, and Swami said no. So what the outcome was this. There was 4 boys, 4 souls that died. And 3 of them had attained self-realization, but the 4th one had not. And so they decided to come back another life to help this other soul to attain self-realization. The drunkard husband was the oldest boy. The 2 sons were the other 2 souls, and she was the one that needed the help. So you see, after she worked through all of her karma and attained what she needed to attain, her husband stopped drinking and became a devotee of Swami's. You see, we don't know, do we? We play different roles, and we look at some as good and some as bad. And we have no idea of what our souls need to experience and who's helping us. My daughter was on drugs and alcohol. She gave Robert and I so much trouble. But we grow closer to Swami through that than anything, and I call her my greatest guru as far as my children. She's turned out really well, but she still has not drug and alcohol problems, but she has trouble keeping a job. But she now has a 17-year-old daughter who is a beautiful girl, and she's taught me a lot of things. My daughter is a manic depressant. She has the intelligence of a 13-year-old. She's taught me things about parenting. She's disciplined her child very much. And just to give you one of her cute stories, she says, "Oh, Mom," she said, this was when Tara was 14. "Ah, Mom," she says, "this boy called up today and wanted to go out with Tara. Wanted Tara to go to the movies." So I get on the phone and I said, "Well, what movie do you want to take Tara to?" And he tells me, she says, "Well, that's not a bad movie. But if you can afford to buy 3 tickets, one for me, one for my brother-in-law, and one for Tara, then you can take her to the movies." End of story. End of story. I mean, this girl's very creative, right? Huh? So there's always good that comes out of everything that we may think is negative. So what attraction to the man Swami wills for me? Let me tell you, attraction only lasts for so long. What I'm trying to say is attraction isn't everything, okay? Many times people in your communities have gotten married and didn't even know each other. How could you possibly be attracted to each other at that time? But it's what you do afterwards that's important in your relationship. Marriages are willed by Swami. Does that mean I can sit tight at home, mind my own business, and Swami will do what's necessary to bring the right man to me? It depends. You know, sometimes I say you could be walking through an airport and trip over somebody and you'll find him there. If you're to meet someone, it'll happen. If your parents are to bring someone to you, it will happen. You cannot make a mistake. It's impossible. It's already been divinely willed who you're going to marry. The time is God's. And many times you want it to happen and it's not, and you get anxious, and that we can all understand. I can't figure that one out.
Well, be a housewife and a career woman. Boy, yeah, it's tough to be a supermom.
No, I didn't either.
Well, be a housewife and a career woman.
It says, how if I like to be a housewife and be like a career woman? I'm not sure I understand that question.
Yeah, it must be and a career woman. Yeah, it's. You're not super women, okay? You're not super moms. You're not super women's. That's the new term, you know. And
Swami says, I mean, this is for people who don't have any children. If you want a career, go for a career. If you want to have children, then you better seriously think about staying home at least for the first 5 years. After the parenting workshop, I'm telling you, you have no idea what you're doing to your kids when you leave them. No idea whatsoever. Their whole emotional stability. And there is nothing stronger. I don't care if a person doesn't speak the right words. I don't care if the vocabulary isn't good. It's the emotional security that they get from a mother. And that love cannot be replaced by anyone else. That baby has heard your voice for 9 months. And after 2 weeks, they hand it over to somebody else, and that child doesn't hear mom's voice all day. How would you like that if you're an infant who can only respond to emotionally? I can't say enough about it. The most important job or career a woman can have is to take care of her child. And if you get married and your partner agrees and you have children, then you owe the mother and father, it is your duty and your karma to take care of and raise that child.
Yeah. Swami, at the first Balvikas International Symposium, I think it was in 81, all the teachers sitting in the hall, okay? Swami came the second day, and he looked out, and most of them were school teachers in those days who went in the Balvikas that came to that conference from all over the world. And he looked at him and said, all yous who are school teachers, who have children under the age of 5, why are you working? You should be home taking care of that child until the child is after 5. And boy, you could hear a pin drop. Because you knew a lot of those teachers were working and not taking care of their responsibility. The in-laws were taking it, their grandparents were taking it. It was their duty and responsibility. Boy, Swami, I'm sure, touched a chord because there was silence there. And he's tough and he's strict. But that's all we can repeat is what he says.
It's a couple living together for 5 years. Then they got married. After 2 years, the husband is filing for divorce. Reason given is they are not compatible. How is it possible that after 7 years they claim that they are not compatible? Oh, I'm not a mind reader. I mean, there's no way that you can answer anything like this. Living together for 5 years to begin with is a problem. Okay, because the guy wants out. Otherwise, he'd have made a commitment to begin with. So if I'd lived with some guy for 5 years without being married, I would have left him. All you're doing is wasting your time. If they love you, don't take them 5 years to make a commitment. We have to get smart. We have to use our common sense. Swami says, my devotees have no common sense. He says they're confused. They lost their fuse. Good, huh?
How will a person know whether the other person is compatible? Is chemistry important? I think we've kind of touched on that enough.
Chemistry is important. I mean, that's why Swami told the boys from New York, if you see a girl and you feel something in your heart, you feel something there, then investigate. Go talk to the girl. Talk to her parents. Whatever. You know, my Swami put my son and my daughter-in-law together. So they didn't know one another, but they've worked very well. It's not that it was easy, but they've worked at it. And I used to tell my kids, look, you haven't seen the most perfect mom and dad. You haven't seen the most perfect relationship. But what you did see is when we had crises and problems, we worked on it. Now, if you think you're going to get married and have a sweet sail, then you've got really good karma. But that's usually not the case.